Matty, Pies get it done by 12 points. They were just too efficient tonight, weren't they?
They were. It's a great way to put it, Matt. Efficient and more composed. St Kilda had 63 entries, 23 more than Collingwood. So Ross Lyon would be shattered with that. Like, they did a lot right. But the most important kick in football is going that last kick inside 50, and they just made too many mistakes.
All right, let's have a listen to our full post-match. Darcy Cameron as well, the star Magpie ruckman.
Ultimately, they just played a very professional game. In the end, the difference, statistically, St Kilda won so many of the metrics that you'd want to win a game of football, but ultimately the Pies were just too professional. When the game got tight late, Lloydie, and we watched a lot of it here, but the Saints fumbled and rushed, and the Pies were methodical, and you could tell a team that had played in these moments a lot and played in front of big crowds and played in pressurised situations, and we probably watched one that was in it the first time and really wanted to win, and ultimately probably rushed a little bit too much at the end. The one stat that stands out for me is 147 marks for the Pies. That is an astronomical number, and to be able to have the ball in your possession that long, it takes so much of the St Kilda pressure game out of it.
So the Saints had 63 entries and Collingwood had 40. So they had plus 23 entries and owned the last quarter. They owned it. They had 19 entries to 9 in the last quarter, yet they could only score 2 goals to the Pies 1. So it was turnovers, it was drop marks, it was missed shots for goal. So they'd be shattered with this loss. You know, I reckon Pies fans would be disappointed with some of the umpiring. I thought the Saints got a bit of a better run with that, but they worked pretty hard, St Kilda, but they're just not clean enough. And I thought the difference was the cleanliness of Nick Dacos, the cleanliness of Pendlebury, the cleanliness of De Goey to kick his 3 when it mattered. And the Saints, they don't jump off the page at who's the cleanest at St Kilda. Wanganeen Miller, and he got tagged out of it. Jack Sinclair had no influence forward of centre, and the rest of them just don't use it well enough, or didn't tonight.
I think that there's some positive side. If you're talking about a new group coming together, and there's a lot, we've talked about how touted they are with the new recruits and how much expectations on the footy club. They did a lot right tonight, but I think ultimately the last quarter really was the difference in it. It was the difference of a team that had a lot of class and a lot of sort of played in big moments, big games. But like, if you walk away from a game, you've won, Lloydie, the inside 50s by, 23 or something like that. You've won contested possessions by 15. You've won clearances by 2. You've smacked him out of the centre square by 7. There's a lot of numbers to like, so I think St Kilda fans would be walk away frustrated. It's probably the best sort of term for it. I think they put in a reasonable show. They showed that they're about the mark, but it's just we talked about too old, too slow at the start of the game, and my rebuttal was too experienced. It's exactly what it was tonight. They're a too experienced team that knows what to do in big moments and knows how to play out scenarios of footy. That's what won tonight's game of footy.
Fascinating numbers, the entries. I mean, it's very early days, but it's not unfamiliar when Ross Lyon's the coach, is it? Is it that he doesn't put a high priority on the construction of scoring methods?
Well, maybe in the past, but I don't think tonight. I thought like the amount of mistakes that he couldn't. Darcy Wilson, like some of those mistakes. Liam Ryan, the mistakes that he made with the ball in hand. I know Jack McRae kicking him out on the full. Higgins was playing for free kicks a lot. So Sharman, like some of those sitters, he was dropping at the top of the goal square. So I just thought they were their own worst enemy tonight, Tim, compared to the cleanliness of Collingwood when it mattered most.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's. I'm not walking away as a Saints fan going like, oh, the year's cooked. Yeah. There'd be some. There's a lot of positives about the way they went about it. It is round 0. It's the first game of the season. They weren't tidy. That's the best way to put it, is that they did a lot right. They got a lot of their game in good stead, but they were really, really untidy and especially when it mattered. And that's. The whole last quarter was snapshot was St Kilda doing a lot of rushing and trying to move the ball fast and taking every option, handballing, put themselves under pressure. Collingwood just got the ball, they just chipped it, they took an open mark, then they chipped it again, they took an open mark, more time off the clock, 147 of them. They just controlled the tempo of the game.
Thus far in the season, round 0, and that's where we are, so we're not very far advanced, but it's been a story of a new football that's producing high scoring. And the Saints have kicked 9 goals, 12. They're going to have to be kicking a lot more goals than that to keep pace with the teams that have been racking up, well over 100 in the round that we've seen.
I would say that tends to be a trend at the start of the season most years. There's a push for every football club to improve their ball movement, and you tend to work really hard over the summer. And I've listened to a lot of coaches over the pre-season, and a lot of them are talking about moving the ball faster. They're talking about using the open side of the field. The speed off turnover, that's what most teams have gone after. That's the trend of the game. What tends to happen in the first 6 weeks is defence starts to take over, and that we get into the middle of winter, and the defensive game plans and structures all start to mould themselves back into the game. So it'll be an interesting watch. I think both teams tonight, we spoke about them being probably the best two defensive teams as a collective in the comp. That's the game we got. There's a reason why it was a pressurised game. It was high turnover, high impact, high contest, but quite an enjoyable one to commentate and sit and watch.
Yeah, the small sample size I got tells me that Marshall's not going to be a factor forward. Like, if he kicked 15 goals, I'd be surprised. Like that's I don't think De Koning, his job's to be the ruckman. So they do have to have a look. Sharman's like your number 3 forward. Owens plays undersized. He looked the most dangerous early before he was pretty quiet in the second half. Higgins had a really poor game. So, and Max King hasn't really probably put together 2 or 3 weeks in a row of training over the off-season. So it's going to take him a fair bit of time.
Yeah, and it highlights how important he is for St Kilda, really. And like, I haven't played against Max, and he's a handful for a team to deal with. So they'll be trying to get him back as fast as they can. You've got to be careful because he's obviously had a lot of injuries over his career, but the Saints fans will be desperate for him to get back.
Let's get down to Jackie with Darcy Cameron.
Thanks very much, Darcy. Thank you for your time. It's pretty weird downstairs in the rooms when you see a famous rapper there waiting. You've just ducked up to get a picture with Swali. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was not expecting this at all, so got to get a quick photo up, and then I'm sure a few will see it. A few boys' Instagram tonight.
Absolutely. Now, you guys went into this game as underdogs. It was St Kilda's big night. How did you thrive on that energy?
Oh yeah, it's nice to be underdogs. You use that to motivate yourselves, but we didn't lean too much into it. We just focused on our process. It's been really good pre-season for us all. And we know our game plan works. We made the prelim last year, so it stacks up, especially in big games like this in front of a big crowd. Collingwood fans turned up. It was awesome.
Booker, it's Sam Docherty up here, mate. How are you going? Very well done tonight. I just want to zone in on the second quarter when the Saints kind of got on top. You took a couple of really important marks. How did you just talk me through your role? I love watching you play. I love watching you sit behind the ball, but just the importance of your role when those moments are coming.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. As the ball gets congested and leaves us a stoppage, I try to float back and help out the defenders. We're down without D Moore and Jeremy Howe, so it's important for me to get back and help the big boys down there because of the lack of height. So I just try to get back there. It's a role that I'm very familiar with. I played it when I was rucking and knee full, and it's also what my dad taught me to do in the junior days. So it's it's funny how it's worked out. Fundamentals of the game. The other one, we were just highlighting how good Harry Perryman was tonight. Obviously a significant role on Nazire Wanganang-Malira, and just the amazing job he did. Just the 2 cents worth on that. Yeah, I think he got given that role on Friday, and you look at Pez, he's one of those blokes who you give him a role, you know it's getting done. So we can pretty much move on to what's next because poor Naz had to deal with him all night.
What about what you had to deal with, like taking on 2 ruckmen? McStay did the occasional centre bounce, but I thought you won the battle hands down. I thought TDK lifted in the last quarter, but you won the night. So what's it like when you're being double teamed the way you were tonight?
It's something. I'm cooked. I was cooked at the end. I was running on the treadmill at the end. But it was something I look forward to. You want to start the year off with big battles, and I feel like I've had Max gone, Cherry, and those 2 in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I've set my season up with conditioning myself against the best ruckman in the game. But I really look forward to it tonight. That new rule is going to be a test against the Conning, and that fourth quarter I can go back and look at a few things I can do better. But I'll take a lot out of that.
Was it a plan before the game to take 147 marks? It seemed like it was methodical and thought through, but was that what you guys wanted to pick apart from the Saints?
It's something we worked on over the pre-season, but definitely not one to pick them apart that much. 147, that's got to be a record for us over the last few years. But I'm glad we've got different gears, and I think we showcase that tonight. And next week we'll show something different, I'm sure.
What about the plan to play, not play Pendles for the first 20 minutes of the game, and then he comes on and just was as influential as anybody in that last 6 minutes of the first quarter?
Yeah, old dog guy's all right. I had no idea he wasn't coming on to the 20th. I thought you had to get someone quick and inject the game with a bit of speed. But no, he's a mastermind of the game, and we're so lucky to have him.
He's learned a bit. 425 games before tonight, Darcy.
No, he has.
What about just at the end with all the uncontested marks? Is that just you just go into scenario stuff that you've been doing over summer?
Yeah, pretty much. Look, we probably haven't trained it as much as we used to because I feel like we're such a mature group. We know what to do in these situations. But you've got to take what the game gives you. Take what the game gives you. And I feel like they just kept giving those uncontested marks late in the game, and we were able to chew far out for about 4 or 5 minutes off the clock at the end.
Does Nick Dacos take your breath away when he plays as he did, particularly in the first half, where I've never seen his skills of evasion at high speed just so comprehensive as they were?
Yeah, I'm glad to be on his team again. It's been bloody frustrating over the pre-season watching him just do what he wants. If he's not in the team, it's annoying. So now it's actually quite. I love watching him. He is a genius.
Hey, Darcy, do you drive the hits, or does he? Like, as a ruck, some ruck take charge, some mids take charge. So how does it work at Collingwood?
Well, I have my spots where I feel most comfortable hitting to, and especially against someone like the Connie, it can be hard, getting over the top of him. So you might get a little bit basic, but we run a lot of different plays throughout training, and he I don't know, you can almost put it to anywhere with him, and he was right onto it. But I feel like centre bounce probably let us down a little bit tonight. We got a lot to work on there.
We've talked a lot about the Magpies. Just give us something for Collingwood and for St Kilda rather, and Saints fans driving home.
Yeah, well, as I said before, I think they were pretty good in the contest tonight. I thought they did well at clearance. They did well in their contested possession. They played the game relatively in their forward half. They won the inside 50s. There's a lot of positives in their game tonight. The worries are their forward mix and what that looks like, and we've spoken about that a bit. But I think ultimately the difference between the two teams was the class when the heat was up at the end, and to go down by 12 points, if you sharpen yourself up in the last part of the game, then there could have been a win on the table for them. I think they did a lot right, but they'd be ruining tonight's loss. It would be my 2 cents worth.